When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing. With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that I was finding out about, I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it.
Who the fuck picked Steve Harvey as the representative for all things black? Steve Harvey, let's keep this shit funky. Steve Harvey is on his third marriage. His third wife was mistress to his second wife. Yet, black people have anointed this motherfucker the oracle when it comes to black dating. This nigga wrote a book on dating. You on your third wife, homie. With all respect, why can't we pick a nigga that know what he's talking about?
When I tell you Mary Harvey is airing out every hidden detail about Marjorie Harvey, it's getting impossible to ignore. For years, people only saw the polished image Steve and Marjorie showed the world. Luxury trips, big smiles, expensive fashion, and that picture-perfect family vibe. But now, Mary is stepping forward again, and she's making it clear that behind all that glam was a whole lot of drama nobody wanted to talk about. Mary has been going back and forth online and in interviews calling Steve and Marjorie bullies and accusing them of trying to silence her for years. According to her, she was pushed out, shut down, and dragged through legal battles that drained her financially and emotionally. She's been very vocal about how she believes her entire life changed once Marjorie entered Steve's world. And now people online are paying close attention because every time Mary speaks, another shocking story seems to come out. What really has people talking is the way Mary describes the early days of Steve and Marjorie's relationship. She paints a picture that's completely different from the clean, Hollywood-style love story fans were sold for years. Mary claims Marjorie came into the picture while her own marriage to Steve was falling apart, and she believes things were happening behind the scenes long before the public knew anything about it. That's why social media keeps digging deeper into timelines, old interviews, and past rumors, trying to figure out what really happened. And let's be real, Steve and Marjorie spent years building a super polished public image. Every appearance looked carefully planned. Matching outfits, relationship advice, family vacations, luxury gifts. Everything looked like a dream. Steve especially became known as the guy giving relationship wisdom on TV, radio, and social media. People saw him as the funny family man who had life all figured out. But Mary's accusations completely challenge that image, and that's why the internet keeps exploding every time this story comes back around. Mary also claims she was treated unfairly during and after the divorce. She said multiple times that she felt isolated and pushed aside while Steve's career kept growing bigger and bigger. According to her, while the public saw Steve leveling up into a huge television star, she was left trying to rebuild her own life in silence. That contrast is part of what keeps people emotionally invested in this situation, because it turns the story from celebrity gossip into something much more personal. And then there's Marjorie herself. Over the years, rumors about her past have constantly floated around online. Some blogs and gossip pages have tried to paint her as mysterious, while others have accused her of reinventing herself completely once she entered the spotlight. Mary has leaned into those conversations heavily, saying the public doesn't know the real Marjorie. Of course, not everything online can be confirmed, but that hasn't stopped people from speculating non-stop. The craziest part is how divided fans are over all this. Some people fully support Mary and believe she was done wrong behind closed doors. They say there are too many strange details and too many stories for everything to just be made up. Others defend Steve and Marjorie hard, arguing that public success always attracts drama and accusations. They point out that Steve and Marjorie have stayed married for years, despite all the rumors constantly surrounding them. Still, the internet never forgets anything. Old clips, interviews, and random comments always resurface whenever this topic trends again. People replay moments where Steve joked about relationships or marriage advice, and now some viewers look at those clips differently because of Mary's accusations. What once sounded funny to audiences suddenly feels awkward to some people who think there may have been more tension behind the scenes than anyone realized. Another reason this story keeps gaining traction is because celebrity image matters so much nowadays. Fans don't just want entertainment anymore, they want authenticity. The second people think a celebrity's image might be manufactured, the internet goes into detective mode instantly. That's exactly what happened here. Once cracks started showing in the Harvey family's carefully crafted image, people became obsessed with uncovering every possible hidden detail. Mary also seems determined to not back down anymore. In the past, many people felt she stayed relatively quiet compared to how huge Steve's platform became, but now she appears more willing to speak openly about her experiences and frustrations. Whether people agree with her or not, one thing is clear: she wants her side of the story heard loud and clear. At the same time, Steve and Marjorie continue presenting themselves publicly as unbothered and united. They still post glamorous photos, attend events together, and show off their luxury lifestyle online. To supporters, that proves their relationship is strong despite years of rumors. But critics argue that celebrity branding is powerful and that public appearances don't always reflect what happens privately. That debate keeps this whole situation alive every time it resurfaces. Social media definitely made everything even messier. Back in the day, celebrity drama stayed in magazines and gossip shows. Now, every interview clip, old photo, or random comment spreads across the internet in seconds. One viral post can restart years-old controversies overnight. That's why this story keeps finding new audiences who suddenly fall down the rabbit hole trying to piece everything together for themselves. At the center of it all is the question people keep asking: how much of the Harvey family image was real, and how much was carefully managed for the public? That's the part keeping viewers hooked. People feel like they've watched this family for years, so hearing these accusations completely changes how some fans see everything. And with Mary continuing to speak out, it doesn't look like these conversations are dying down anytime soon.
It's like somebody snapped their finger and there was no marriage between us, you know?
Right.
It was like, boom.
If there's one person people constantly bring up when talking about Steve Harvey's complicated relationship history, it's definitely his ex-wife, Mary Shackelford. A lot of fans believe Mary ended up carrying the heaviest emotional weight during that chapter of Steve's life, especially as his fame started growing fast and new people began entering the picture. Mary was married to Steve Harvey from 1996 to 2005, and according to stories that have circulated for years, she stood beside him during a major turning point in his career. Back then, Steve wasn't the giant television personality the world knows today. He was still grinding, building his name, chasing opportunities, and trying to create a future in entertainment. People close to the story often say Mary was there during the struggle years, long before the luxury suits, huge TV deals, and millionaire lifestyle became reality. When Mary first met Steve, he had already separated from his first wife, Marcia, and was trying to move forward with his life and career. According to reports and public discussions over the years, Mary initially didn't fully understand the complicated situation surrounding Steve's previous marriage and family responsibilities. Still, she opened her life to him and reportedly supported him while he worked towards success. At the time, Steve was far from wealthy, and many people believe Mary played a huge role in helping him stay focused while trying to break into mainstream entertainment. People online often say Mary helped hold things together during a period when Steve's career was uncertain. The comedy world is brutal, especially for someone trying to make a name for themselves from scratch. Long nights, financial pressure, failed projects, constant travel. It's not glamorous in the beginning at all. While Steve was trying to build momentum, Mary was reportedly helping behind the scenes in ways many fans never knew about. One detail that keeps resurfacing is the story about Steve's comedy club venture. According to longtime rumors and discussions tied to their relationship, Steve wanted to open a comedy club, but reportedly didn't have enough money to make it happen on his own. Mary allegedly stepped in with major financial support, giving him $250,000 from her own savings to help complete the purchase. That number alone shocks people every single time they hear it, because it shows just how invested she was in Steve's dreams and future. But it reportedly didn't stop there. Stories claim Mary also helped with the interior design of the comedy club to keep expenses lower and help the business succeed. That's why so many people feel she wasn't just a wife standing on the sidelines. She was deeply involved in helping build the foundation of Steve's growing empire. Fans constantly debate how different things might have turned out if Mary hadn't supported him during those critical years. Another interesting part of the story is Mary's reported relationship with Marcia, Steve's first wife. Instead of chaos and non-stop public drama, people close to the situation have claimed the two women maintained a relatively respectful relationship for a period of time. Reports even suggest Mary encouraged Steve to handle his responsibilities properly and make sure child support payments were being taken care of. That detail surprises many people because celebrity relationship stories usually get painted as non-stop war zones, but this situation appeared more layered than that. As Steve's career finally started taking off, life naturally became more complicated. Fame changes everything. Once money, attention, and celebrity status enter the picture, relationships often face pressure from every direction. Suddenly, there are business opportunities, travel schedules, public appearances, media attention, and people constantly trying to get close to success. Many fans believe this is where the cracks in Steve and Mary's marriage slowly became impossible to ignore. Then came Marjorie Harvey, and this is where online conversations really become heated. For years, gossip blogs and social media discussions have painted Marjorie as someone who entered Steve's life during a vulnerable period in his marriage. Critics often accuse her of wanting the glamorous lifestyle that came with Steve's rising fame, while supporters argue she and Steve simply found love after difficult relationships. Either way, people still debate the timeline non-stop, because the overlap rumors never fully disappeared from public discussion. Mary's supporters especially believe she was blindsided by how quickly everything changed. From their perspective, she spent years helping Steve build stability, only to later feel pushed aside once success fully arrived. That emotional angle is exactly why this story still hits such a nerve online. People see a woman who allegedly invested emotionally, financially, and personally into someone's dreams, only for the relationship to collapse once the rewards finally came pouring in. And honestly, that's what makes this story feel bigger than regular celebrity gossip for many people. It taps into real fears people have about loyalty, sacrifice, and being forgotten after helping someone rise to the top. Social media users constantly comment things like, "She helped him build everything," or "This is why people say never build a man for another woman." Those reactions show how emotionally invested audiences still are in this entire situation, even years later. Mary reportedly believed her marriage with Steve was solid because their lives were so connected. They had built routines together, shared responsibilities, mixed families, and created a life that looked stable from the outside. Once children become part of the picture, many people naturally assume the relationship has deeper roots and long-term security. That's why the eventual split shocked so many followers who had watched Steve's public image grow alongside his family life. As Steve became more famous, the image surrounding him also changed dramatically. Suddenly, he wasn't just a comedian, he became a motivational figure, a TV host, and someone constantly giving relationship advice. To fans, he looked polished and successful, but critics argue behind every celebrity image is a much more complicated personal reality. That's why Mary's story continues to follow Steve's public reputation no matter how much time passes. To this day, debates around Steve, Mary, and and Marjorie still explode online whenever interviews or old clips resurface. Some people feel Mary deserves more credit for Steve's rise, while others believe relationships simply evolve and people move on. But no matter where people stand, one thing is obvious. This story still grabs attention because it mixes fame, money, loyalty, heartbreak, and power all into one messy situation.
A family, and I had someone that took up for me. I never was afraid because he was there. He was like the brother, daddy, uncle, everybody. And that meant a lot to me. And my family meant a lot to me. And he knew that because I told him about my family when I met him. And I was telling him about how important everybody was to me. I felt safe for the first time in my life. So I said to myself,
little did Mary know that while she was feeling confident in Steve and their relationship,
Little did Mary know, while she was busy believing her marriage with Steve was stable and secure, Marjorie was slowly making her way back into Steve's life behind the scenes. That's the part of the story that still has people online talking nonstop. Because from Mary's perspective, everything seemed normal at first. She believed she and Steve had built a strong foundation together through years of struggle, sacrifice, and growth. But according to the rumors and accusations that later exploded publicly, another chapter was quietly starting in the background. People who followed the Harvey family drama for years often say the situation didn't unravel overnight. Instead, they believe it happened gradually: small shifts, changing energy, different priorities, and growing distance. As Steve's fame expanded, so did the number of people surrounding him. Success changes social circles fast. Suddenly, there are industry events, celebrity parties, business meetings, and constant travel. Many fans believe that environment created the perfect opening for old connections to reappear. And that's exactly where Marjorie enters the conversation again. According to Steve and Marjorie's version of events, their love story is simple, romantic, and almost movie-like. They've repeated the same story publicly many times over the years. Steve says he first saw Marjorie at one of his comedy shows years ago. According to him, she walked into the venue late, caught his attention immediately, and he famously told the crowd something along the lines of, "I'm gonna marry that woman someday." It's a story they've shared in interviews, on television, and across social media countless times. To many fans, the story sounds sweet and dramatic in a Hollywood kind of way. A comedian spots a beautiful woman in the crowd, instantly feels a connection, and years later they become husband and wife. It definitely sounds like the type of story audiences love hearing. Steve and Marjorie have leaned into that narrative heavily throughout their relationship, often presenting themselves as soulmates who eventually found their way back to each other after life took them in different directions. But critics and longtime gossip watchers aren't fully buying the polished version of events. That's where things start getting messy. Some people online believe the public story leaves out major details and important timelines. They argue the situation was far more complicated than a simple love-at-first-sight moment. Over the years, blogs, forums, and celebrity gossip channels have constantly questioned when Steve and Marjorie truly reconnected and how much overlap may have existed between relationships. Mary's supporters especially feel the public romance narrative ignores her role during Steve's rise to fame. From their perspective, while Steve and Marjorie now tell this glamorous destiny story, Mary was the one actually standing beside Steve through difficult years when success wasn't guaranteed. That contrast is why emotions around the situation remain so intense online even after all this time. The internet has practically turned into a detective board over this topic. People constantly revisit old interviews, public appearances, timelines, and statements, trying to connect the dots themselves. Every resurfaced clip sparks new debates. Some viewers believe Steve and Marjorie's chemistry is genuine and that they were always meant to end up together. Others think the relationship evolved in a way that hurt people along the way, especially Mary. One thing nobody can deny is how carefully Steve and Marjorie built their public image once they officially became a couple. Together, they created one of the most recognizable celebrity marriages in entertainment. Luxury vacations, designer fashion, family photos, motivational speeches, relationship advice. Everything about their branding screamed power couple energy. They looked untouchable for years, and fans bought into it completely. Marjorie especially became known for her glamorous lifestyle. From high-end fashion to lavish trips around the world, she developed a strong social media presence that helped shape the image of the Harvey family brand. To supporters, she elevated Steve's image and helped him transform into a more polished media figure. But critics argue that the glamorous image sometimes distracted people from the complicated history attached to their relationship. What makes this story even more dramatic is how differently each side appears to view the past. Steve and Marjorie present their relationship as destiny finally coming full circle after years apart. Meanwhile, Mary's perspective paints a much more painful picture, one where trust slowly collapsed while another woman allegedly gained influence behind the scenes. That emotional contrast is exactly why audiences stay hooked to the story. Social media only amplified everything. Every time Steve gives relationship advice online or talks about marriage during interviews, comments immediately flood in, bringing up Mary and the old accusations again. Some people praise Steve and Marjorie as relationship goals, while others accuse them of rewriting history to protect their image. The split in public opinion is huge. And honestly, image management plays a massive role in celebrity culture today. Public figures know how powerful storytelling can be. The right narrative can completely shape how audiences view a relationship. That's why people analyze every detail of Steve and Marjorie's love story so intensely. Fans want to know whether the fairy tale version is the full truth or just the most marketable version of events. Meanwhile, Mary's comments over the years continue fueling speculation. She's repeatedly implied that things were happening long before the public became aware. While not every rumor floating online can be verified, her statements have kept curiosity alive for years. Each time she speaks out, people revisit the old drama again with fresh attention. At the center of all this is a bigger conversation about fame, loyalty, and perception. Many people wonder how relationships survive once success changes everything around them. The entertainment industry is filled with stories of couples growing apart as money and fame enter the picture. That's part of why so many people relate emotionally to this situation, despite the celebrity names attached to it. To this day, Steve and Marjorie continue standing united publicly. They still appear together at events, post affectionate moments online, and project confidence as a married couple. But the questions surrounding how their relationship truly began never seem to disappear completely. Every resurfaced interview, every old rumor, and every new accusation keep the conversation alive. And for viewers watching from the outside, the biggest mystery remains the same. Was this really a simple love story years in the making, or was there far more happening behind closed doors than the public ever realized?
So I came late, came down front with my girlfriend. Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage. So we were sitting here, the stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long, staring at me. Now everybody in the club is looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm going to marry her.
Marjorie's road to becoming Steve Harvey's wife has been surrounded by rumors and controversy for years, and critics online constantly argue that the public version of the story leaves out a lot of messy details. While Steve and Marjorie often present their relationship like a fairy tale years in the making, people who have followed the drama closely say the reality may have been far more complicated behind the scenes. According to long-running gossip and internet discussions, when Steve first crossed paths with Marjorie years ago, he wasn't anywhere near the level of fame and success he eventually reached. At the time, Steve was still struggling financially, trying to establish himself in comedy and working non-stop to survive in the entertainment industry. Some critics claim Marjorie wasn't interested in him back then because he simply didn't have the lifestyle or financial status she wanted at that point in her life. Meanwhile, Marjorie's own past became the subject of heavy online speculation over the years. Rumors connected her to several controversial figures in Memphis, and gossip blogs repeatedly discussed stories about the people she allegedly associated with during that period. A lot of these claims spread heavily online, especially once Steve's career exploded and public curiosity around his personal life grew stronger. One name that frequently appears in these conversations is Jim Townsend. Reports and internet discussions have long stated that Marjorie was married to Townsend, who later became known publicly because of serious criminal charges connected to illegal activities. Over time, internet gossip turned those stories into sensational headlines, with blogs adding dramatic labels and wild speculation that only made public curiosity even bigger. People online also discussed how Marjorie allegedly left school during that chapter of her life because of growing attention and rumors surrounding her reputation. While many details remain debated and not fully confirmed publicly, social media users constantly revisit these stories whenever conversations about Steve and Marjorie trend again. Every few months, somebody reposts old articles or clips, and the internet starts digging through the past all over again. After Townsend's legal troubles became public, rumors claim Marjorie later entered another relationship with Darnell Woods, who was also frequently mentioned in online gossip tied to criminal investigations during that era. Discussions surrounding these relationships became a major source of controversy because critics used them to question the image Marjorie later presented publicly as part of the polished Harvey family brand. As these stories spread online, many people painted a picture of Marjorie trying to reinvent herself and move toward a more stable lifestyle. Critics argued that once legal problems and instability surrounded the people in her life, she started looking toward opportunities connected to entertainment and celebrity circles instead. That's where Steve's rising career enters the conversation again. By this point, Steve Harvey's popularity was exploding fast. Thanks to projects like The Kings of Comedy, Steve transformed from a struggling comedian into one of the biggest names in entertainment. His career growth was massive. Suddenly, he wasn't just doing stand-up, he was becoming a household name with television opportunities, major tours, endorsements, and growing influence in Hollywood. According to longtime rumors, Marjorie reportedly reconnected with Steve after seeing how quickly his career was rising. Critics online often frame this part of the story dramatically, claiming she recognized that Steve could offer the kind of stability, wealth, and public status she wanted at that point. Supporters of Marjorie, however, argue that people unfairly attack her because of her past and ignore the fact that relationships naturally evolve over time. Still, the gossip didn't stop there. One rumor that circulated heavily online for years involves Steve's former bodyguard, often referred to in internet discussions as Big Boom. According to the rumors, Marjorie allegedly became close to him first as a way of reconnecting with Steve indirectly. These claims have been repeated across blogs and social media so many times that they've become part of the larger mythology surrounding the Harvey relationship drama. As the rumors go, once Steve and Marjorie fully reconnected, their relationship allegedly became much more serious behind the scenes even before everything became public. Critics claim Steve was still trying to balance his public family image while spending increasing amounts of time with Marjorie privately. That's why people online constantly debate timelines and question exactly when the relationship crossed from friendship into romance. According to stories shared across gossip platforms for years, Steve allegedly spoiled Marjorie heavily once their relationship intensified. Rumors claim he helped provide luxury accommodations, covered expenses, and brought her along on trips while still trying to keep the relationship away from public attention. Those allegations became a huge talking point because they directly connected to Mary's later accusations about betrayal and secrecy. The emotional side of the story is what keeps audiences invested all these years later. Mary's supporters often argue that while she believed her marriage was stable, another relationship was quietly developing in the background. That idea alone fuels non-stop reactions online because people emotionally connect to stories involving trust, loyalty, and hidden relationships. Things reportedly became even tenser when Mary allegedly learned details about Steve and Marjorie's growing connection. According to long-running rumors, information about the relationship eventually reached her directly, leading to major conflict inside the marriage. Some stories even claim communication between the parties became confrontational as emotions boiled over and tensions escalated. What makes this situation continue trending years later is how different the public image looks compared to the allegations people discuss online. Steve and Marjorie spent years presenting themselves as one of entertainment's strongest couples, glamorous, successful, stylish, and deeply connected. But critics constantly point out that behind every polished celebrity brand, there may be a much more chaotic story hidden underneath. Social media has intensified public fascination with the drama. Every old interview, resurfaced rumor, or viral clip sends people spiraling back into debates about what truly happened between Steve, Mary, and Marjorie. Some viewers believe the accusations reveal uncomfortable truths about fame and relationships, while others think gossip culture exaggerates situations far beyond reality. No matter where people stand, one thing is clear: the Harvey relationship timeline remains one of the internet's favorite celebrity rabbit holes. Fans continue analyzing old stories, searching for clues, and debating whether the public fairy tale image matches what really happened behind closed doors.
The housekeeper, she brought it to me. And when she handed it to me, it was almost like that package burned my hand. I knew it was something crazy. I didn't want to look in it, but of course I had to look in it. So I opened it and I'm reading this letter. And the more I'm reading this letter, and her wording is so defined, it was like somebody was rolling tape. Her verbiage about him, like how he spoke, the words he said, how he walked in the room, everything. She was like painting a picture of him being, at their apartment or whatever. I don't know anything about a house.
As soon as Mary reportedly confronted Steve about the rumors surrounding Marjorie, everything between them changed fast. According to Mary's version of events, the man she once supported through difficult years suddenly became cold, distant, and emotionally unreachable. What once looked like a strong marriage from the outside reportedly turned into nonstop tension, arguments, and painful legal battles behind closed doors. The breakdown of their relationship quickly became messy, and when divorce proceedings officially started, things allegedly escalated even more. Celebrity divorces are already complicated enough, but when fame, money, public image, and children get involved, the pressure becomes intense. Mary later spoke publicly about how shocked she was by how aggressive the situation became once lawyers and courtrooms entered the picture. According to Mary, she believed she deserved financial protection and recognition for the years she spent helping Steve during his rise in entertainment. From her perspective, she had invested emotionally, personally, and financially into their marriage and into Steve's growing career. That's why she reportedly refused to quietly walk away without fighting for what she believed she had earned during those years together. But Mary has claimed the divorce process became exhausting and emotionally draining. She accused Steve and Marjorie of trying to pressure her into backing down while protecting the polished public image Steve was building at the time. As Steve's fame kept growing larger through television appearances, comedy success, and media opportunities, Mary said she felt increasingly isolated and overwhelmed by the legal fight. One of the most emotional parts of the entire situation involved their son, Winton. According to Mary's public statements over the years, she believed the custody battle became deeply personal and painful. She claimed that during visits with Steve, sometimes Winton returned home with physical marks or bruises that worried her greatly. Those accusations immediately intensified public attention because once children become involved, emotions around celebrity disputes rise to another level completely. Mary reportedly became so concerned that she filed a police report after one of the incidents involving Winton. According to discussions that later spread online, she claimed she could not fully understand how the marks happened and feared something inappropriate might be occurring during visits. The allegations quickly became one of the most controversial and sensitive parts of the Harvey family drama. Authorities reportedly reviewed the matter, but ultimately no criminal case moved forward. Once the investigation was closed, the custody dispute reportedly intensified almost immediately. According to Mary, Steve then pursued full custody of Winton, leading to a major legal battle that she says completely changed the relationship dynamics within the family. This is where the power imbalance became a huge topic online. Mary later claimed she struggled financially during the court process and could not compete with the level of legal representation Steve could afford at the height of his growing success. Fans sympathetic to Mary often point to this as an example of how difficult celebrity legal battles can become when one side has significantly more money, resources, and influence. Meanwhile, Steve's supporters viewed the situation differently. Some argued that the courts made decisions based on evidence and legal standards, not celebrity status. Others believed too many rumors and emotional accusations were being spread publicly without enough confirmed facts. Even now, years later, opinions remain sharply divided whenever people revisit this story online. Still, Mary has consistently maintained that losing custody deeply affected her relationship with Winton. She claimed the situation created emotional distance and gave Steve and Marjorie more control over how their son viewed her. According to her, the separation became heartbreaking and left long-lasting emotional scars that never fully healed. The emotional intensity surrounding these claims is exactly why the story continues gaining attention online years later. This isn't just celebrity gossip to many people anymore. It touches on family conflict, power struggles, divorce trauma, and the emotional impact custody battles can have on parents and children alike. Audiences become emotionally invested because these situations feel painfully real, despite the celebrity names attached to them. At the same time, Steve and Marjorie continued presenting a polished and united public image. While Mary discussed emotional pain and legal struggles, Steve's television career kept climbing higher and higher. He became one of the most recognizable personalities in entertainment, hosting major shows, giving relationship advice, and building a brand centered on success, humor, and family values. That contrast became impossible for critics to ignore. Online discussions constantly pointed out how different Steve's public image looked compared to the accusations Mary was making behind the scenes. Fans debated whether the entertainment industry helps powerful celebrities protect their reputations while quieter voices struggle to be heard. Social media only amplified everything further. Every old interview clip, custody rumor, or resurfaced statement sends people back into heated arguments all over again. Some viewers believe Mary was unfairly pushed aside during Steve's rise to fame, while others think private family matters became too public and emotionally charged over time. In particular, the internet reacts strongly whenever old footage resurfaces showing Steve giving parenting or relationship advice. Critics immediately flood comment sections, bringing up Mary's allegations and questioning whether the public truly knows the full story behind the Harvey family image. Supporters, however, argue that people shouldn't automatically treat accusations as confirmed truth without complete evidence. One thing that keeps this story alive is how personal it feels. Fame, wealth, and celebrity status may make the headlines bigger, but underneath all the drama are still human relationships breaking apart under pressure. People watching from the outside see themes they recognize in everyday life: betrayal, heartbreak, custody fights, loyalty, and the emotional fallout of divorce. Mary's supporters often say her biggest mistake was believing years of loyalty and sacrifice guaranteed security in the relationship. From their perspective, once fame and money fully entered Steve's world, everything changed around her faster than she expected. That emotional narrative continues connecting strongly with audiences who feel sympathy for someone they believe was left behind during another person's success story. To this day, debates surrounding Steve, Mary, Marjorie, and Winton continue resurfacing online every time old clips or interviews go viral again. Some people see a successful celebrity family overcoming controversy, while others see unresolved pain buried beneath a carefully managed public image. And because so many questions still remain emotionally charged, the conversation never truly disappears from the internet.
That financially, my life is in a shamble. That is absolutely true. But it's been like that since 2005. So this is nothing.
But why is it in shambles?
Because we have a man of power and authority, and he used that in the court. In a small town in Texas, he was able to manipulate this entire situation to his benefit, and it does happen.
It gave him that.
Because I'm a nobody. You know, his lawyers came in, his team of lawyers and his entourage, and, you know, he's a man with the power. He's in 60 markets. He's written these books. You know, he's socially connected with the programs and Disney and all these type people. It's easy for him to come to court and say, oh, this woman has no job. You know, socially, she is of no significance. She has no moral support or no emotional support, which I did not have, because everyone shifted to his side of the table, so to speak, because at that moment I did become insignificant.
After years of speaking out about this, it looks like Mary has finally been able to convince people.
After years of speaking publicly about her experiences, a lot of people online now believe Mary Harvey's side of the story is finally gaining more attention than ever before. For a long time, many viewers felt her voice got overshadowed by Steve Harvey's massive celebrity status and carefully polished public image. But as social media grew and old interviews started resurfacing again, more people began revisiting the entire situation with fresh eyes. These days, whenever clips about Steve, Mary, and Marjorie start trending online, the comment sections instantly explode with opinions. Some people strongly defend Steve and Marjorie, while others believe Mary was treated unfairly from the beginning. The internet has practically split into two sides, and neither group seems willing to back down anytime soon. One comment that recently gained major attention online said, "Everybody knew that Marjorie was for the streets. The only one who thought he could change that was Steve." That statement alone sparked huge reactions across social media platforms because it reflects how strongly some critics feel about the rumors tied to Marjorie's past. Supporters of Marjorie, however, quickly pushed back, arguing that people unfairly judge women more harshly than men when discussing complicated relationship histories. Another viral comment read, "People talking about Steve forget that he abandoned his first wife and kids the moment he started making money and fame, cheated on his second wife, Mary, with Marjorie, and later married her." Comments like these spread rapidly online because they tap into larger conversations about fame, loyalty, and how success can change personal relationships. For many viewers, the conversation has grown beyond celebrity gossip entirely. People now frame it as a cautionary story about relationships, sacrifice, and what sometimes happens when fame enters the picture. Supporters of Mary often argue that she stood beside Steve during difficult years, only to later feel pushed aside once he became successful. That emotional angle is exactly why so many people continue sympathizing with her years after the divorce drama first became public. Others online point out that emotions surrounding the situation are understandable regardless of which side people believe. One comment that gained attention said, "It has nothing to do with women. It's a lesson. If she is an angry woman, she has a right to be. She was with him when he was a nobody and had nothing." Statements like that resonate strongly with audiences because many people connect emotionally to stories involving loyalty, sacrifice, and feeling forgotten after helping someone succeed. At the same time, there are also plenty of people who defend Steve Harvey completely. His supporters argue that relationships are complicated and outsiders rarely know the full truth behind private family matters. They point out that Steve and Marjorie have now been married for many years and continue presenting themselves as a strong couple despite nonstop rumors and criticism. To them, the fact that the marriage lasted this long proves there may be more to the story than internet gossip suggests. Still, public perception has definitely shifted over time. Years ago, Steve's image as a motivational speaker, comedian, and relationship advisor often protected him from deeper criticism. Many fans saw him as the ultimate family man who had overcome hardship to build a successful life. But now, because of social media and constant resurfacing drama, some viewers look at his past relationships much differently than they once did. One reason the story keeps surviving online is because celebrity branding has changed completely in the internet era. Fans today don't just want polished interviews and glamorous photos anymore. They want authenticity. The second audiences feel like there may be hidden truths behind a celebrity image, people start digging immediately. That's exactly what happened with the Harvey family situation. Once old accusations and timelines started circulating widely online, curiosity exploded again. Another major factor is how emotional people become when discussing relationship loyalty. Many viewers see Mary as someone who allegedly helped Steve during the hardest years of his career, financially and emotionally, only to later watch another woman enjoy the rewards of that success. Whether every detail is accurate or not, that storyline naturally triggers strong emotional reactions from audiences. Meanwhile, Steve and Marjorie continue moving forward publicly as if the criticism barely affects them. They still appear together at events, post glamorous lifestyle photos online, and maintain the luxury image they've built for years. To supporters, that confidence shows resilience and strength, but critics argue that celebrity appearances don't always reveal what happens behind closed doors. The internet also never lets old stories disappear completely. Every few months, an old clip resurfaces, a podcast revisits the controversy, or a gossip page reposts details from the past. Suddenly, a whole new generation of viewers discovers the drama for the first time, and the debate starts all over again. That cycle is exactly why the Steve, Mary, and Marjorie situation continues trending even years later. Another thing fueling public fascination is Steve's role as someone who gives relationship advice publicly. Whenever he talks about marriage, dating, or family values, critics instantly bring up his personal relationship history. Some viewers feel his personal life contradicts the advice he gives, while supporters believe people grow, evolve, and shouldn't be permanently judged for past relationship mistakes. At the center of all this is a bigger conversation about fame and image management. Hollywood has always been built on storytelling, and celebrity couples know how powerful public narratives can become. Steve and Marjorie created a polished brand centered around success, love, luxury, and blended family values. But Mary's accusations introduced a completely different perspective that challenged that image in a major way. No matter where people stand on the controversy, one thing is obvious. Audiences remain deeply invested in this story because it touches on real emotions people understand. Love, betrayal, ambition, loyalty, heartbreak, money, power, and public image all collide in one complicated situation. That combination keeps viewers debating endlessly online. And honestly, the discussion probably isn't ending anytime soon. As long as old clips keep resurfacing and people continue analyzing celebrity relationships through social media, the Harvey family drama will likely remain one of the internet's favorite celebrity conversations for years to come.